Morning light, we bloom again. From the deep we rise within. Down below, then we ascend. Lotus heart, lotus heart, lotus heart, we bloom again.
Welcome to Bloom, the acronym for being loving to ourselves and others more. Bloom in life like never before, renewed, refreshed, regenerated as you're lifted higher like the lotus flower. Let me introduce Dr. Darlene, renowned author, speaker, and clinical psychologist. So, Dr. Darlene, tell us your story and about Bloom.
Thank you. And I really like how you mentioned the lotus flower, because the lotus flower really symbolizes what bloom is all about. That in the muck, in the mud, it still blooms, and it blooms beautifully despite any obstacles or challenges in its way. And that's what I empower and inspire women to do. We all go through some type of adversity, sometimes trauma. And how do we persevere through it? How do we navigate it so that we too can bloom? And bloom is be loving to ourselves and others more. Because without self-love and feeling good about who we are, it's very difficult to love others. And we end up having more complicated relationships. And oftentimes people don't understand why until they gain the insight and the awareness that part of why they're struggling in their interpersonal relationships is because they're really not loving themselves first.
I'm Dr. Darlene Powell-Garlington. I'm a clinical psychologist, and Judge Hatchett asked me to spend some time sitting and talking with the two of you about some of the issues. There's nothing wrong with feeling angry, but the part about it that's so destructive is you're hurting you. What's the worst thing you think happened to you when you were younger that you're so angry about?
My mom always going away to jail and stuff.
Yeah, I would be angry at my mother too. I'd be real angry. See that because she's still hurting from what you put her. Because what you put her through, no child should go through. What am I going to do when I'm so pissed off and I'm so angry that I want to bash somebody's head into the sidewalk? What am I going to do with that?
And as God says, love thy neighbor as thyself.
Exactly.
And if you do love yourself, then you are going to love your neighbor the way that you care for yourself.
But the real point right now is, what do you want from Art? You said you want him to be a father to your child. My perception is that you want more from him.
All right, that's
how do you really feel about Art?
I just want to be able to love him the way I've learned how to love somebody. And that is, I want him to be happy and I want me to be happy. Whatever that, if that accounts me being a part of his life or accounts me not, that's really what I want.
And you're very insightful. You said it yourself earlier on. I think that you're trying to replace the drugs with Art, and that's just another form of dependency. And he's not good for you. He doesn't appear to be the kind of person that is going to help you in the long term.
And for me, I had written several books with mainstream publishers, Simon & Schuster, William Morrow.
Our faith in God, our ability to trust Him and to rely on Him when we think we can't make it through another day, another hour, maybe even another minute, that we know that God will see us through. That's our faith, our belief in things that we might not be able to see. So it's the ability to persevere by praying and having faith that God will see us through.
And I decided to use something that was a crisis as an opportunity to not just help myself, because writing is cathartic for me.
Yes.
You know, it's therapeutic for me. So writing it also was a way to inspire and encourage other people who inevitably are going to go through some type of trauma and adversity. I just didn't know it was going to be my time. And I didn't know it was going to be as severe as it was. And for me, it was publicly humiliating because I was this scholar in the community, this leader in the community that helped other families. And my dad said something to me that was so important. And he's, not a man that focuses on psychology, although he worked as a mental health aide at Creedmoor. And I'll tell you how that inspired my life. But he said, nobody can destroy you unless you allow them to.
This is true.
And I had to process that and recognize that the fear and anxiety I felt about other people's judgment, other people's attitudes, other people's perspectives of me, that I had disappointed the community, that no, I define me. Nobody else defines who I am or how I deal with the challenges. So I think that made me more self-determined to figure out how and I did want to show people. I did want to say, people who said things like, oh, now what's going to happen to our children? Because the issue was between their biological father and the man that they call dad, that they saw as their dad. So people thought, they would not be able to succeed in life. So my son starting college because of the trauma at 15 and graduating with honors and the presidential award, it wasn't necessarily pride. I wouldn't even call it that. It was resiliency, that I could say that my babies were able to, hopefully with their mother's love and me showing them that they emulated how to be resilient, how to persevere. And my daughter, who said when she was little she would never do what I do, she got her doctorate and is not just a educator and school psychologist, but she's head of clinical services. So if I was looking for a job, and I'm not going where she is because she would be my boss. Yes. So to see them, I think we encouraged and inspired one another. Me watching them gain strength gave me strength.
Sometimes my children and I will engage in mixed martial arts, which my son does, so he teaches me how to do kickboxing, and we make it into a fun activity. My daughter studied gymnastics for years, so with her training, we have fun with her gymnastic skills. Sometimes we ride bikes, and other times we just do spontaneous things that demonstrate our physical fitness and our loving competitiveness to be able to stay fit and to use exercise as a way to release stress and anxiety and pressure, and just again to have enjoyment and joy and fun in life.
The topics that you have for the podcast, they're phenomenal topics, discussions that all of our viewers should chime into. Can you give us a little taste or a little hint?
Sure. Well, I am going to be honored to have the women, some of the women that participate. Typically, I've limited the group now to 15, but it's been as many as 40. Sometimes I'll allow 20. But I like the intimacy and the cohesiveness of a small group. And they've developed more trust to be able to be vulnerable and open because of the small group. So we're going to have them join us for 2 sessions. Excellent. And some of the topics are my areas of expertise, trauma, anxiety, depression. I used to work for the Department of Defense as a policy analyst and developing standardized clinical practice guidelines for our veterans and for our service members, active service members too, of how to deal with PTSD. Okay. And my area was post-traumatic growth, because if you look at it, 2 service members can experience the same thing in the combat zone, have the same horrific experiences of seeing their battle buddy perish from an IED or whatever happens. And one will come back and he has intrusive thoughts and he's devastated, he can't function, he's hypervigilant, he's not able to sleep. And another one will come back and say, wow, that was messed up. That was awful what I went through, but it made me appreciate life more. And now it changed my perspective. I value my family. I value my community. I'm going to be an active part of it, not isolate, because I'm thankful to be back. I feel blessed. So the same circumstances, but different perspectives, because perspective so much dictates how we function and how we deal with the situation.
Oh, that's wonderful. So Bloom has a lot to offer. We are going to experience life together. We're going to bloom in life. You want to stay tuned to the future podcasts, and we're so excited about what Dr. Garlington, Dr. Darlene is going to bring to the table.
And may I say,
yes,
I'm drinking a sip of my water because it's going to be like sitting around my kitchen table. Yes. And the conversations that happen there are pretty interesting, pretty sacred. So we're going to spill and sip the tea together. So I look forward to you joining us for all the future broadcasts.
Morning light, we bloom again. From the deep we rise within. down below, then we ascend. Lotus heart, lotus heart, lotus heart, we bloom